Sure. Yeah, if I had to give some very quick practical tips, one, turnout time is great for your horses. I mean, it's great for the skeleton, it's great for the mind. The horses enjoy it. But a trick we always face is how do we prevent them from getting injured? And I'll give you a quick little story. I was over in Dubai speaking to some trainers, and one of the guys, he was great. He was willing to sit and listen to this. He's like, you know, I've heard these comments before, all the things that we just talked about regarding the need for speed and stuff. And he's like, so here's the trick. I got this horse right here. So this was in December, and he was pointing this horse that was walking in front of us. He's a $300,000 horse. I got him in October, but what I realized is he's been handled wrong all the time since then. He's been stalled. He's had no high-speed exercise. If I turn him loose, he's going to kill himself. And I'm like, yep, he will. And so what you need to do is you need to think about these things, and we need to provide a way where we can, if you coop a horse up for a long time and then you turn it out, it doesn't matter what horse, it's going to run around and they will injure themselves. So it's not always an option. And sometimes you need to do some of that speed work in a more controlled setting where you're on them. And so what I always like to do is I give you the knowledge, but I don't tell you how to implement it, because I don't want to be responsible when your horse does something really stupid. But the horse that's used to being turned out, you don't have problems. It's the horse that we coop up for a long time and then we turn them out. And even being up here in Michigan, we, you know, have some bad weather and people think, oh, we need to go ahead and, you know, stall our horses instead of letting them be out on pasture because it's snowing and icy and they're going to slip and fall. Most of the time, if you just allow them to be out, they're going to navigate that. It's when we then coop them up for a few days until we get through that bad weather, and then you turn them out, then they run around and they get themselves injured. So I absolutely love turnout time. I think it's one of the simplest, easiest ways, but know your facilities. Make sure you have it so they aren't going to injure themselves. You know, there's facilities that have great turnouts where it's large enough where they don't immediately come to a fence and have to stop. They don't get themselves into angles. The fences are safe, and that's a much better way to do it. Or maybe even just an arena. Problem with an arena is it's relatively small, so you're going to be doing some circular exercise, and we've talked about how bad circular exercise is. But maybe to get some of the zoomies out of them before you turn them loose into something bigger, that might be a safer approach. So I love that. Anytime you have any period of disuse, expect some problems. I'll share one final story. My major professor, Gary Potter, used to tell that he was talking with an old racehorse trainer, and he asked that trainer, he said, what's your number one cause of, or what do you think your major cause of lameness is? And that old trainer thought about it for a while, and he said, respiratory problems. And Potter said, He goes, well, I can't explain it, but anytime I get a horse get sick and I have to lay him up for, you know, a week or two, put him back into training, and the darn thing goes lame on me. Well, we now actually know what the cause is the tissues do become weaker when you don't allow them to do anything. So there's just so many factors, and there is no magic cure. Time is the best cure on a lot of things. I would love to go ahead and see that whether or not there is something that can fix things really simply. I don't know what there is. Be really skeptical when somebody tells you that there is these magical cures. Do the research yourself. And I really don't know how to tell the average lay person who doesn't have access to the scientific journals. I don't know how that they can sort through. But I would ask for them, you know, if somebody's trying to sell you something, have them provide you the scientific research. And even then, it's not ideal because they can pick and choose, but at least it's something. For those that have access to it, I always tell my students, you're living at the best time of your life. It's not because you're young and you have no obligations. It's because you have access to scientific journals. The rest of the people out in the rural world, they're dependent on listening to others, and a lot of other people don't have the right answers. So lots of little things there, but again, speed is a good thing. Circular exercise is a bad thing. Rest or turnout could be wonderful if it's out on pasture, allowing a horse to be a horse. Rest can be a bad thing if it's stuck in a stall. Again, I understand why we have stalls, but they create a lot of our problems. Nutrition is not a magical cure either. It gets blamed for a lot of things, and we haven't talked on that. But we've done, about 15 years ago, I was asked to speak over in Germany at a nutrition conference because a lot of the researchers over there had been using these markers of bone formation in nutrition studies, and they were thinking these markers of bone formation and resorption and things like that are useless because they do their study and they couldn't find any treatment differences. And so I compiled all of the studies from our lab that looked at nutrition. Very few of them, actually had any treatment differences. There were a couple that did. But then I decided to look at all of our exercise studies that we did. And just about all of those showed treatment differences. The point is if you think adding little magical wonder dust to your diet or tweaking it, once you've met the requirements, the body says, I'm good. So adding the magical stuff doesn't do anything. But if you don't have the right exercise, there is nothing you can do to make a stronger skeleton. Exercise plays such a greater role in controlling the strength of tissues or the damage that's done to tissues also. Got to have good nutrition. I'm not knocking it, but don't blame the nutrition when things go wrong. It's probably what you're doing as a trainer. Or bad luck, confirmation, it can play a role too. But usually it's what we're doing in training that's going to affect how strong tissues are.